Killings of no fewer than 200 people in 3 local government areas of Plateau State. A senior advocate of Nigeria and human rights lawyer, FALANA, says Nigerians are entitled to keep and bear arms for self-defense. FALANA, who spoke during a television interview, claimed that the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tarid Lagbaja, had taken the wrong stance on Nigerians carrying guns. Lieutenant General Lagbaja had, after the Christmas Eve attacks on several villages in Plateau State, he said Nigerians had no constitutional right to own and bear arms. He said this in reaction to a warning by the Plateau State governor that further attacks could lead to his people taking up arms. Well, to further examine this issue, I have joining me in the studio security expert Mike Ejiofor. Glad to have you on Prime Time, and a Happy New Year to you.
Same to you. Happy New Year to Nigerians.
Yes, indeed. Now, the Christmas Eve killings in Plateau State has left Nigerians wondering, should I begin to think about helping myself? How do I begin to protect myself, since it seems that government is unable to? And one of the most important responsibilities of government, of course, is the safeguarding of lives and properties, and that's according to Section 2B of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Should Nigerians begin to think seriously about bearing arms, at least to protect themselves?
Well, for me, as a person, I think I completely agree with the senior advocate. It's time Nigerians bear arms. Because I recall, I think it's about 2016, 2017, there was a seminar organized by the Office of the National Security Advisor, and I did mention in that conference that there is need to liberalize the carrying of arms by Nigerians, and I was roundly condemned. I still maintain that position, because the only difference between these people carrying arms and ordinary citizens going about their lawful deeds is because they are carrying arms. If they don't carry arms, I don't think they'll be in position to do what they are doing. The argument that if you allow Nigerians to carry arms, it will be abused. I agree.
Isn't there a tendency for that to happen?
There's tendency for abuse, but we should not also, the primary purpose of government, like you said in the intro, is welfare and security of the people as provided for enshrined in our constitution. But where daily, especially in a Benue, in Plateau, hundreds of people are killed, no account is given, I don't think it's proper. That brings me to the, as I was invited this evening, I was going through some of the papers. It will shock you that a Swiss-based non-profit organization, in its research, in 2020, I'm talking of 2020, we're in 2024 now, disclosed that we have 6.1 million illegal arms with civilians in Nigeria. In Nigeria alone. Not
necessarily in the hands of criminals and bandits,
in the hands of civilians.
But civilians
in Nigeria.
In Nigeria.
6.1 million.
Added to that, the report that about 70% of illegal arms actually in Nigeria, that's in the West Africa.
So it goes further again to tell you that out of every 100 Nigerians, 3 are armed. So where are the people? That is very dangerous.
It is.
It is very, very dangerous. So why don't we liberalize this issue of carrying of firearms, so that if you are coming to my house, you know I'm also armed. But these people act with impunity, they act with all kinds of them because they know people are not armed. I don't believe that it's going to bring any anarchy. You look, in fact, the provision of firearms, like the licensed guns we talk about hunting, it's not for defense. So even if you use it for defense, you didn't use illegally.
So if 1 out of 3 Nigerians, civilians, already bear arms.
3 out of every 100.
3 out of every 100. Okay. Yes. But that's still a significant.
It's very high.
It's a significant number.
Yes.
How come then it's not reflective in the way we protect ourselves against bandits, terrorists, marauders, armed robbers, kidnappers, and what have you? What exactly? what's the cause of the seeming disparity? Because it's not reflective. If there's so many arms in the hands of civilians.
The issue is that I've said it again several times. While we were conducting an interview here, the political elites in Nigeria are the people causing this problem, and they have these illegal arms, which they use in conducting elections, At the end of the election, they keep it for another election. Now, you're talking of people in the rural area, Bokos, for instance. How would they have that kind of arms, even if they have? And if they have such access to arms, they will not be killed in hundreds. There will be resistance. That's
so you don't agree with the chief of army staff when he says, look, allowing Nigerians to carry arms to defend themselves will lead to anarchy?
I don't think so. We're already in a state of anarchy. We're already there. People cannot go about their normal duties, and you see, to travel now becomes a problem. I don't think we should go beyond that. Government should encourage people to protect themselves. And that takes me to the issue of how do we solve our security challenges. Right. We're talking of establishment of state police. Virtually every state in Nigeria has its own police under one name of one vigilante or one other
You're talking about the Amotekuns of the southwest. There's Ebubago in the southeast. Yes. North central governors are planning to come up with something similar.
Every state has its own vigilantes. So why don't we legalize and establish another argument people are putting up, that the state police will be abused?
Right. Is it not a sound argument?
Is the Nigerian police not being abused? I talked the other day, we talked about withdrawing the IG. Every IG comes up
and makes that statement.
Withdrawing, we don't have enough manpower for the police to tackle the challenges. If the military goes ahead to bombard some of these areas, it is the responsibility of the police to take over control and hold on to that place. But they don't have personnel to take charge of it. They are protecting individuals. And I think it was here when I left the other day, some senators were calling me, why should I be supporting that they should withdraw policemen from them? The time they withdraw policemen from them, and in fact, it's not only senators in the National Assembly, there are people who have no means of livelihood. They are being protected by the police.
That's strange.
It is let them withdraw all these people, and the National Assembly members who are supposed to make laws will take our security serious. But they are protected. Right.
Now, back to the issue of, the right to defend oneself. The Nigerian Constitution actually guarantees that right. And one of the arguments made by respected Femi Falana is that, look, this right to self-defense covers whatever means that you want to, deploy in protecting yourself. But let me paint a picture of what the situation is in a country where you have the constitutional right to bear arms, talking about the United States. Yes. In 2023 alone in the US, over 40,000 people were killed in gun violence in December.
Yes.
This report came out in December. What does that in itself tell you? Well, there are more people being killed, where you allow for people to bear arms than if you did not allow it.
No. You see, what is the population of America?
Isn't that a way of looking at it? Right.
What is their population? They are civilized.
Over 300 million people.
Yes. Yeah. They are more than Nigeria. So if you compare the number of people also killed in Nigeria, you should be running to the same figure. So whether, you see, there's a proverb in my place that if you see a fight, don't run. But it does not mean if you see a way to escape, you shouldn't escape.
Right.
So if you come to attack me in my house and I have a means of defending myself, I can defend myself. But now that people will come, innocent people, you come to their house, you slaughter them, and no arrests are made. As I was coming in here, somebody was telling me that some arrests have been made. I'm yet of some people who were involved, that the CP Plateau State made a statement that some of them have been arrested. I'm yet to confirm it. But that is true. We need to see those people. They need to be interrogated to know what they're after, because it beats everybody's imagination. What these people, especially in Plateau, who are after innocent, what is their mission? What do they want to achieve?
And that's a very good question. And I would like to actually throw that question back to you. I mean, have we been able to identify or diagnose correctly, to say, look, these are the underlying factors. These are the main reasons why Plateau State, Benue, Nasarawa, Borno, every part of the country is under attack. Some would say that, look, it's about land grabbing. Others have actually used the G word, saying it's all about genocide, an attempt, to take over lands in Nigeria. If we don't know the problem or the cause of the problem, can we really, truly
must we keep people to take land? That's the issue. We need to diagnose this and know exactly what. I was watching Arise TV the other day, and I saw General Areola. He was in the theater there. he spoke about writing a paper on solutions, how he met all the stakeholders in that place. So why don't they invite him to come and look at that paper and see how it will be reviewed and see how this perennial problem in Plateau is becoming very disturbing.
Is a political will lacking to really address this insecurity
Well, how would you say
problems in
political will
Nigeria?
is lacking? Or to identify
what seems to be missing
But we identify exactly what is happening. We will not be able to say whether it's political. I've had the governor of Plateau State, I've had some prominent people talk about lack of political will. But for me, we must be able to identify the problem, because before we know whether there's political will to deal with the issue or not.
So we're yet to identify the problem. That makes it even more complex,
because
doesn't it?
Because the problem once you identify a problem, it's half solved.
Absolutely, that's what they say. Now back to the issue of bearing arms and what the Constitution allows. Let's even imagine that we're allowed to bear arms. What are the things that we're supposed to be looking at in terms of who can bear arms and who cannot?
The regulation is there.
Right.
The person bearing arms must be seen. It must be somebody who is not mental. And we need to subject these people to mental examination to certify that they are not, will not be hot-tempered. But we are talking of people bearing arms. We also need to examine the mental state of our politicians.
Right.
Because they do worse things than these bandits.
Well, in a country where it's been said that about 48% of the population actually has one form of mental challenge or the other, how more difficult would it be?
Well, it's said that for every normal human being, you have 3% element of madness.
Or insanity.
It depends, yes, it depends on when you bring your own and the level in which you exhibit your own madness. So, that's the area of sanity. It's always determined by medical practitioners. So we need to look at their mental state, look at the temperament before you issue such arms. And in fact, you can see people brandishing illegal arms in public places, in functions, and openly shooting guns, and nothing is being done. So what is left than to legalize this carrying of arms, so that if you come to my house, you feel challenged, because you feel that I also have my own arms in my house.
Yeah, that
but they
itself is a
operate with
deterrent.
impunity because they know we are not armed.
Now, let's talk about the ideal situation. I mean, more and more people are lending their voice to the idea of bearing arms. If we are allowed to bear arms, do we import these arms? Do we manufacture them in Nigeria? Because I have something here that says, look, unlawful possession of manufacturing of firearms in Nigeria attracts a minimum of 10 years.
Yes.
In other words, there are people actually manufacturing firearms in Nigeria right now. We to believe that.
Of course, people manufacture. If you go to Oka, you remember when they talk of Oka made and all those.
Right.
And not only made in Nigeria. Our porous borders are where these illegal arms come from the Sahel, from the Niger Delta. You have a lot. But if it's liberalized or legalized, there are licensed people who said we will be able to know how many people who have purchased arms and the type of arms they are recorded.
Right.
And you will now have a central data where we'll be able to say these are the number of people who have arms, and there's anything happening in any particular place, we'll be able to trace who used the arms or not. But now, it's fluid, everybody is carrying arms, and it's not legalized.
Right. On the issue of the regional security outfits, there's been the argument as to whether to allow them to bear arms or not. Some would argue that not allowing them to bear arms renders them totally ineffective. Does your argument lie? Do you agree that they should bear arms, Amotekun, Ebubago, and what have you, in spite against the backdrop of the tendency to abuse? That's
another alternative, which I also have proffered. If you don't allow Nigerians to carry arms, allow these regional outfits, security state outfits, to carry arms, but they must be under regulation and control of the police and the military, so that it's just to complement the functions of the regular
police
military services. It's not. But if you leave it just like that, they are not armed. Amotekun in Ondo State, for instance, they go into the bush without arms. and they still make arrests. And with the cooperation of the police, they've made tremendous success. I think that's why I even base this Ondo model is why I base that each time I mention it, I talk about it. The Ondo model should be emulated.
That's quite interesting, because I was going to ask you how, in your estimation, how effective would you say these regional security outfits have been so far?
You know, the laws establishing this thing have been passed in the Southwest. But I can tell you that all the states in the Southwest, in that Amotekun regional outfit, I think Ondo State remains very, very effective, and most effective in that area. And that is why it's not, there's no way you can eliminate crime completely from any society. But it has reduced. You remember how Falaye's daughter was killed, and so many murders. And but
former secretary to the government of the Federation.
It has come down now. So I think we should be able to, if we are fearing abuse of arms to the civilians, get these security outfits properly armed so that they will complement the services of the police.
Are there other options apart from the regional security outfits? Talking about the state police, for example, community policing and what have you. A lot has been said about that, but it's like it's not what the paper is written on at all. What's your take on the need for community policing and, of course, state policing?
If we are talking of community policing, that would be involving the members of the community.
Right.
And if you bring community policing to support the regular police, who are the people, the regular police, where are they posted from? What language do they understand? You post somebody from Bayelsa to Sokoto, for instance, or you post somebody from Maiduguri to Lagos, you have language barrier. So how is the community police going to help? I suggest that the rank and file of the police be deployed to their own geopolitical zones. If the community policing must be effective, then the senior officers who are in charge, in control, can be posted anywhere. But you need to be fed with local intelligence. When you come to areas and the people don't understand the language, they are not even concentrating because they have families. They will go to Sokoto, from Bayelsa to Sokoto, to go at least once a month to see their families. You can't continue. It's going to disrupt everything. Right. So post them to their various geopolitical zones where they can even understand the language. People will tell you it also has its own disadvantage, that they will begin to abuse the local. But I tell you, it will be more effective, you know, in terms of community policing, because you need to interact with the people, understand their language, their culture, and their differences before you even feed for the commanders for operation.
Absolutely, and that's one of the points made by the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tarid Lagbaja. He says, look, instead of calling for Nigerians to bear arms, look, it's enough, or that the people should rather, you know, provide adequate information about incidents in their locality to enable whether the police or the military respond as quickly as possible.
How can you provide the adequate information when you don't have the language? Take, for instance, you go to the southeast. For me, I will not go to the southeast for now. You go to the southeast, you see,
unfortunately,
northerners. You see people who don't even understand the language, manning the roadblocks. So how do you pass information to such people? You carry Igbo people or Yoruba people to the north. It does good. And I think we need to review our strategies. We don't want to continue to do the same thing the same way and expect different results.
Former President of the Senate, David Mark, only recently said, look, there needs to be, the government needs to declare an emergency in security. And of course, alongside that, others are saying, look, there's a need to redesign the security architecture. It's almost sounding like broken record, because we continue to hear this over and over again. What do you think is the way out? Look, it's a new year. The government is saying, look, we're going to do everything to address the insecurity issues. What would be the practical steps to be taken now so that another Bokos in Plateau State does not happen?
If we must address our security challenges are local. Right. The solutions must be local. You don't expect to use the method you are using for dealing with Boko Haram in the north to apply the same thing with IPOB. So look at every problem, look at the own solutions locally. Then, if we must, we say it like broken record. Our security agencies this year, the funding is the highest so far in security. That shows that government is committed to security. But that fund, is it sufficient? Is it adequate? We need to recruit more people. We need to do more training. We need to deploy technology. For instance, these Bukos, they are going. The Air Force mistakenly bombed some people and killed some people the other day.
Yeah.
So why don't we make that mistake and kill these people as they are coming? Over 400 people coming at a time, staying there for days, for hours, operating unchallenged. I think we should need more of the area approach by the Air Force. Once this, there might be collateral damage in terms of what, at least let's get these people out of our way. Because if there's no peace, there's not going to be any development, no matter what we do.
It's a very good place to end it, but let me just ask you a very pointed question. How do Nigerians protect themselves from terrorists and criminals who just want to snuff life out of them?
You need to be security conscious. Most Nigerians are not security conscious. They need to be security. Take all precautionary measures to protect. People leave their houses open, they don't lock the doors. If it must happen, it must happen, but you must do your own. Inform the police, inform the state security, give information to all the security agencies.
Thank you so much, Mike Ejiofor is President, Alumni Association, National Institute of Security Studies. Thank you very much.